The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
Welcome to Planting Seeds, Philanthropy in Saskatchewan, a show where we aim to connect you to the community impact being powered by donors and charities across the prairies. I'm your host, Victor Roman, with the South Saskatchewan Community Foundation. I hope you enjoy the show. I'm happy to be joined here by my guest, Amy Mohr with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Regina and area. She's currently their Director of Development and Communication. And just for full transparency of this episode, I have a lot of involvement with this organization. I actually used to serve as the Executive Director for a fairly short period of time, and then have been a volunteer mentor. I'm not actively one, but I've been a volunteer mentor for, I think, closer to 10 years. So if it seems like I know a little bit too much information, that there's a reason why. And if it seems like I know Amy, it's because we used to work together as well. So yeah, welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself and your role at the organization?
Sure. So I am currently, as you said, the Director of Development and Communications. So my main focus is raising funds for the life-changing mentoring relationships that we create and maintain, and then also handle some of the communication stuff, which is why I'm here today, and helping direct different stories and communications via social and web and TV and all of those fun things.
I really want to get a good grasp for our audience to know, like, what is the organization, who does it serve, how does it serve it? So maybe the first thing to start with is it's Big Brothers Big Sisters, and it's matching kids with mentors. What's the age range? Like who qualifies to be matched with a mentor?
Sure, that's a great question, and one I think that certainly has changed over the history of the organization. So Big Brothers Big Sisters as a whole, is over 100 years old. So we have been doing this for a long time, and quite frankly, I think that we're the experts in mentoring. Big Brothers Big Sisters agencies are the experts in mentoring. In Regina, we've been matching kids facing adversities, 6 to 17, for over 50 years. So the age range that we serve is 6 to 17, as I said, but for the most part, I think 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 are the majority of the kids' ages that we serve currently. Mm-hmm. And the kids that we serve are coming from or are experiencing numerous adverse experiences. So some of those are parental separation or divorce, mental health, both of the child and a family member, bullying, isolation, maybe child welfare is involved, and refugee status, substance abuse issues, poverty. So most of the kids that we serve are experiencing more than one of those adverse childhood experiences. So the positive relationship that happens or develops with a mentor is just, quite frankly, life-changing for these kids.
Great. I have like 5 questions I want to say at once.
Yes.
So I'm just going to try to figure out which one would be a good one to start with. I think the main thing is, you mentioned, obviously children facing adversities, and those adversities can be very broad in what they are and the nature of them. When a family comes in and you see a child that needs a mentor, what's the process of getting them one? Is there a waiting period? What is that waiting period? That's
an awesome question. So we do a pretty significant screening and training process for the family. The screening and training intake process for the volunteer is hugely significant to make sure that the kids are safe. That's our number one priority. But then we also do screening and training for the family to, make sure that the family understands the expectations of the program, and that they are, able to commit, because it's a commitment for the family just as it is for the mentor. So we want to find out, as much as we can about the family and about the child, so that we can make the best match possible. So that means what kinds of activities they like, what their personality is. If they had 3 wishes, what are those 3 wishes, to, just kind of contextualize who they are as a little person. And then we take all of the information that we've learned about the family and the child and match them with intentionality with a mentor. So it's not like, all right, this is the first or the next child on the wait list, which is a lengthy wait list always. And this is the next mentor that's walked in the door. Okay, now you're a match. Have a good time. We really want to make sure that the matches that we create are based on commonalities, similar interests, similar personalities. Maybe the mentor, lost a parent early on, so that would be something that's significant that could help the match get to know each other better or have that common ground. Our mentoring coordinators do a really good job of learning about the child and about the mentor, of course, and then making those matches so that they're strong from the start, essentially.
I guess the other half of that then is, let's look at the mentors themselves.
Sure.
So how does that work? I know it's a volunteer position.
That's
how
right.
do you recruit those volunteers? How do you ensure that they are kind of qualified isn't the right word, but how do you ensure that they're kind of ready to work with a kid who might have faced, certain traumas or be facing certain challenges in their life?
Right. So as I said, there is significant screening to make sure that they're reliable, who they say they are, that they're safe. And once we're kind of through that portion of the intake process, then there's training that we do as well to make sure that they understand the role of a mentor. And while, the children that we are matching them with do have adverse childhood experiences, we are equipping the mentors with the information and the support and the education, if you will, on kind of how to work around those issues and support the child in the best way possible. And then that being said, our mentoring coordinators are always there to support the match, are on call to answer any questions or, navigate those, we call them bumps in the road with the kids. And just really, we call it the power of 3. So it's not just the mentor and the mentee and the family that are in the relationship, it's the agency as well. So all of us are invested and dedicated to making sure that this match is a success, so that this child, so that each child that we serve, can grow up with amazing potential and the power that's within them.
And how long would a child be matched with a mentor for?
Great question. Typically, we see matches, they can last a lifetime, right? Essentially, we are creating friendships that we hope last for the lifetime. And we have a ton of examples, and I think we'll talk about one later that has literally spanned decades. But 2 years is about the average length of a match within our program. If and when often matches are thriving, so that means that the mentor or the family aren't really calling us for help or support, through whatever the issues might be, that they have formed and maintain a developmental relationship that shares power, expands possibilities. Once that relationship is really strong, and we have a conversation with everybody and everybody's on the same page that yes, we're ready to kind of graduate and leave the agency and let them fly, then we graduate them. And so they we know that they're still going to hang out, they're still going to have fun, they can come to us if they need, but then that opens space up on our mentoring coordinator's caseload for new matches that do still need some, or that would need some support.
Well, that's great. One thing I just want to add, and this is actually a little micro story that'll be new to you, because I don't think I've actually told anyone at the agency, but the boy that I was matched with years ago, like he's an adult now, and he actually just recently had a child of his own. So I just a couple of weeks before this recording got to go meet the child and give him give him a little welcome gift for the kid. And the thing that was really neat was we were still matched at the time that my firstborn was born. So at the time, him and his mom, gave my son like this little doll, and it's like this like monkey doll and this Bob the Builder computer. And it's funny because when his kid was born, I went to my kid and I was like, can we give that back? No,
I love that.
You're not going to love this though. My son said no. so we still have it. But then what my son did do is, so I took him, we went out and I was like, okay, well, you get to choose the gift for the kid. So my kid actually got to buy his kid a gift. And then we also now have kids within like half a year of each other, which is really neat.
Right.
So it is that sort of thing where it's like, we haven't been matched for years. We keep in contact every once in a while. Like if he needs, you know, some help with, you know, a job reference or things like that.
Right,
like I'm always there, but it was just neat. So when you talk about like that's one of those things that like we will always, like that's just something that's ingrained in a mentor and a mentee's life. That's something that is currently true of mine, and I know there's a million stories like that. And speaking of stories, there are a couple videos that Big Brothers Big Sisters provided. They're just short little tidbits. I thought it'd be a great view to kind of look into some of the current mentoring stories that are happening now. So maybe we'll cut to those now.
Hi, my name's Cassandra, and my favorite activity that we have done is when we went to the Sky Park, and I fell a lot.
Hi, my name's Tegan, and my favorite thing that we've done is probably go and get boba lumps.
My name's Caitlin, and my favorite thing to do with Olivia is crafts.
My name's Olivia, and the thing that I like to do with Caitlin is cooking.
So one of the things you mentioned earlier was the wait list and how capacity, I know this isn't unique to your organization, capacity across the charitable sector is something that's always a challenge. What does that, like, how many kids are on a wait list on average in a year, and what do you do or do you do anything, I guess, to ensure that they get some sort of service while they're waiting?
Sure. We're not alone in the volunteer lack thereof.
Yeah.
Not to say that, you know, Regina is not a very generous city, and we, you know, we do see volunteers coming through our doors on a regular basis. But the reality is that there are just so many children and youth that need support, you know, that I don't think that we could ever, you know, fulfill our mission or our vision and, you know, put ourselves out of business in terms of there are no more children that need positive mentors, unfortunately. So, you know, we are lucky in a sense that we have programs that kind of can serve a volunteer's whatever their dedication or whatever their commitment is. So, you know, we have a couple of hours. Our community-based program is a couple of hours each week in the evenings or on the weekends usually. Our in-school mentoring program is 1 hour once a week during the school day and the school year. So that's a really great program for students or working professionals who can take an hour out of their day and head to an elementary school and have a good time while they're on school property. That's the program that I am currently mentoring in right now. And I mean, Jesse and I made sushi the other day.
Nice.
He saw a YouTube video, and so he said that he wanted to make it. And I said, have you ever had sushi before? And he said, no. Okay, maybe we'll bring some to see how this goes.
Yeah.
It went okay. And so we made sushi one day, and the recipe or the ingredients that this YouTube video had suggested were cheese puffs.
Oh, yeah.
So we made sushi with cheese puffs, avocado, and cucumber, which was not terrible. It's amazing, but it was not terrible. And so we made a bunch. And
I'm sure there's some like chefs listening
that are just like cringing.
That are cringing and being like, this child's first experience into sushi or second was this.
Yeah. But it was cool. So that's a really fun program, you know, if you're kind of short on time. And then while the children are waiting on our wait list to be matched with a mentor, we have our big group activity program. So we aim to do about 1 or 2 activities a month. And those are, again, in the evenings and on the weekends. But the purpose of that program is to really engage with our kids and their families on the wait list. So number one, that they feel a part of the agency, and they, as you said, are being kind of served while they're waiting for a mentor of their own. The second kind of goal of that program is to get to know them better so that we can then better match them with a mentor. Number three, you know, any of the children that come, because it is open to our existing matches, you know, we're just exposing children to new experiences, more positive adults, role models in the community. And then fourth or fifth, I can't remember which point we're on, but would be for existing matches like Bigs and Littles to come to the program or, you know, come to the activity, whether that be like a cooking class or, you know, go to a powwow, go tubing at Mission Hill, come skating at the access rink, whatever the activity is, they get to come and the mentor doesn't necessarily have to plan an activity for that week. They can just come hang out, meet other matches, have a good time. We get to see, you know, the matches interacting and, you know, really the mentoring coordinators can pat themselves on the back for a job well done for creating such a fantastic relationship. So yeah, that's one of the most fun programs too that we have. And again, you know, if the volunteer has a couple of hours kind of randomly or sporadically throughout their year, that's a really great opportunity to come and hang out with everybody and have a super fun time.
One thing I really appreciate about that opportunity, because again, this is really universal around the charitable sector, but one of the worries, and we've talked about this, you know, with people, really like city strategies, community foundation strategies, and just trying to find ways to make sure that people are able to access the services they need easily. And one of the worries, and I know that I've talked about this at my role there, and we talked about it in my role here at SSCF, is that kind of one of the last things you want is to have these services, but when they're all at capacity, it's like, you know, you've got a family that really needs something. And then they go knock on one door and they're like, yes, but we don't have room for you. Right. And then you knock on another door, yes, but we don't have room for you. It's like you can only knock on so many doors before you're totally disheartened. So it's nice that there's that solution of, if the answer is like, well, not yet, but we have something for you, like that's that starting point. That's that moment where people still get served, their kids still gets the experiences that are gonna help them and learn new things. And it's really appreciated because it does help fill a gap that is pretty tough sometimes when it's heartbreaking to see families try to access things that they desperately need and there just isn't the capacity there.
Told no again and again.
And speaking of capacity and volunteerism, that's obviously, like there's a small team of staff there and there's a lot of kids that need help, and really the capacity is the strong quality mentors who are willing and wanting to be there and be involved is really what makes the difference. And it's a pretty long-term commitment. It can look intimidating. I know from my experience when like the very first time I became a mentor, it was intimidating of figuring out like, how am I going to inspire this kid? Can you kind of do a sell to get volunteers right now? Oh, I know what the other point was I was going to make, and I want to say it before we get into this, which is that volunteerism has gone down.
Correct.
Like since COVID-19 hit and the pandemic hit, volunteerism has gone down across the board. And organizations need volunteers more than ever. This is true of yours. This is true of many. So like a viewer or a listener, if you're thinking about volunteering, or maybe you were a volunteer before with an organization and you kind of got out of that routine, like my call to you is go out and do it, because the sector needs it everywhere. An organization, most organizations really, it's an essential part. I think with yours, it's an even more essential part.
100%.
And, you know, from my experience, I know it's not only like it's not only painless, it is so beneficial to the volunteer. So do you want to maybe do a bit of a pitch? Like as a volunteer, what do you get out of it?
Yes, absolutely. And before we get into that point, I'll just kind of echo what you said about, you know, if you are watching and you know, and I'm not just speaking for Big Brothers Big Sisters, because as you said, you know, our entire sector, our community, you know, we need people to step up. There would be no community without volunteers. So, you know, if you know somebody that you think would make a good mentor or, you know, a volunteer in another capacity in another organization, tell them that. Because that's, for us, we know at Big Brothers Big Sisters, we know that, you know, word of mouth and that kind of, hey, I think that you would be a really great mentor, is often that kind of final push for someone to be okay, now's the time I'm going to sign up, or I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to take that next step to, I've been thinking about it for a long time, but now I'm going to go forward. So yeah, spread the word and volunteer if you can. Because as you said, it is not only the child that benefits. I mean, that's our goal. Hands down, 100%. We want to, ignite the power and potential of the young people in our community. And with that being said, so you're helping out your community, you're investing in the life of a child, which then, benefits the entire community in the long run. But the benefits to you as a mentor are that kind of sense of fulfillment, right? That you are helping out your community. You are, altruistic kind of sense of gratitude, but it's so much fun. Like even any of our programs are fun. And, it is intimidating to think of this commitment, because it has to be a commitment. It's not going to be great for the child if you are going to volunteer and then realize that this maybe isn't the right fit for you. So it's a couple of hours a week, and the commitments vary depending on the program. For our community-based program, which is our most well-known one, a couple of hours a week for at least a year. We hope after that year, and many times it's the case, that the matches continue. And they continue not because the agency is saying, okay, your year's not up, or it would be really great if you could do another year. They continue because an actual friendship has formed. You have met this young person, you have created a positive relationship with them. You've met their family, they've met your family. You've tried new things together, you've had fun experiences. Maybe you've helped them learn how to ride a bike. Maybe you've learned how to play Roblox because of them and their knowledge, with gaming. You've gone to different community events. Maybe you've made other friends with other mentors, and your mentee has made other friends with other mentees. It's such a life-changing experience for the child, of course, but also for the mentor. And one of the great things about this is that it, maybe at the beginning there's a little bit of, oh, what am I going to do this week? I need to put a lot of thought and effort into planning an activity. And then it just becomes this natural friendship. Like, hey, what are we going to do? Well, let's do this. We're going to talk about, we've been talking about this for ages. Let's go. There's no, the awkwardness fades away. The stress or the worry about what the activity fades away, and it just is a natural friendship. And the agency is here to support the entire time. We still do have graduated matches that come to us with, needing some advice or some support, and of course we're going to provide that. And because we want the child to succeed, we want the relationship to succeed, and with the right supports, and that's just how it's going to be.
One other part, we're coming close to an end, but I really want to make sure we touch on this, is the donor side of things, the funding side of things. Volunteering is one piece, but without money, organizations also cease to exist.
That's
and Big Brothers Big Sisters has received grants through different South Saskatchewan Community Foundation grant opportunities in the past. So I know there's a familiarity from our end, but just talking to donors, what kind of, what do you need from a funding perspective? Like, how much does it cost, for example, to fund a match, and what kind of opportunities can donors potentially have with your organization?
Right, yeah, that's great. So to fund and to create and support a big little match for 1 year is $1,800. So that encapsulates the screening and the training for the family and the mentee, the screening and the training for the mentor, the match introduction meeting, which is the best part when the two meet for the first time, and then the support that we provide. We're bound by very stringent Big Brothers Big Sisters of Canada's national standards to make sure that we're keeping kids safe, and so we have to check in with the mentor, the mentee, and the parent on a regular and consistent basis for the entire lifespan of their match with us. So that $1,800 covers the creation and then the support and the encouragement of that match for that 1 year. And you know, it's really cool as well. We have a couple of years ago, the Boston Consulting Group did a study on former littles who have grown up. And what they found is that for every $1 that's invested into Big Brothers Big Sisters mentoring programs, $23 is returned to society in a form of like a social return on investment. So like that 23 to 1 ROI is pretty unheard of in in the world. But it's what we see is, you know, for the SROI, kids that were mentored go on to graduate high school, they go on to post-secondary school, they get better grades, they go on to have, you know, get better jobs, higher paying jobs, management position jobs. They go on to volunteer more than people who weren't mentored. They go on to donate more themselves. So, you know, investing financially into Big Brothers Big Sisters, volunteering with Big Brothers Big Sisters, just creates this ripple effect throughout our entire community that benefits everybody.
Perfect. Well, thanks a lot. We'll wrap it up there. So I guess really the call to action is, you know, you can check out, well, actually, maybe let everyone know your website where they can go get involved as either a volunteer or a donor.
And that's just BBBSregina.ca. So BBBSregina.ca.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in today. If you'd like to learn more about how you can make an impact in your own community, visit the South Saskatchewan Community Foundation online at sscf.ca or search for us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Spotify.
If you'd like to share your feedback on the program you just watched, contact us today.